They got no stack. That was one of the things they were supposed to improve during this offseason, Martin. Why haven't they?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, Jody. Jordan Davis is a first-round draft pick. He was, he played a good chunk of the first half. You keep hearing about Teron Jackson having such a great camp. I mean,
Patrick Johnson as well.
Patrick Johnson, yep.
Milton Williams, he was playing, and Marvin Wilson, who's had a good camp.
You got your Mexican guy, McMullen McDonald, here again, Bird 365, and here he comes out of the dark. Our buddy Martin Frank from down there in Delaware country. Martin, here's why I want to start with you, because John started the show today nitpicking about the Eagles.
Nitpicking, Martin.
Not being creative enough, not showing anything different, follow the leader of the pack when it comes to some of their schemes and the like. And I think he overstated. And then it was just that nitpicking, I guess.
How dare you?
How dare John
go nitpick? There. No way.
But here's where I will kind of concur with Mr. McMullen. How many sacks did the Eagles get yesterday?
I don't remember any, right?
I believe that would be a goose egg.
No,
and that was one of the things that there were. And I know the first team didn't play. Don't bother hopping on the stream here and go, Jody, the first team did. I know the first team didn't play, but the second teamers might get a chance to step in and play this year. They got no stack. That was one of the things they were supposed to improve during this offseason, Martin. Why haven't they?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, Jody. Jordan Davis is a first-round draft pick. He was, he played a good chunk of the first half. You keep hearing about Teron Jackson having such a great camp. I mean,
Patrick Johnson as well.
Patrick Johnson, yep.
Milton Williams, he was playing, and Marvin Wilson, who's had a good camp. The great Marlon Chewy Pelotu.
Yeah, right. These are all guys who are figuring into the rotation. Like, these are guys who are going to play like during the regular season and everything. And, they didn't really see much from any of those guys, if anything. I mean, it wasn't a very good performance by the defense, that's for sure. And you can take it with a grain of salt. It's only preseason. They were going against the Browns, second teamers, blah, blah, blah. But, these are guys
funny,
who are going to play.
You're right. You do take it with a grain of salt, but people don't want to take that piece of green, that piece of salt with the offense, because the offense looked great. The second team offense. Gardner Minshew, 3 drives. They all went over 10 plays. And he almost had 3 for 3 with he made the one bad decision at the goal line on 4th down. I was starting to worry about Gardner. He had a bad summer, bad training camp, but he looked good. He looked good making decisions and putting the ball where it was supposed to be in that RPO offense. Are you more comfortable with Gardner Minshew today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I haven't been comfortable with Gardner Minshew. I mean, I think people just need to realize what he is. I mean, he's a good RPO type of quarterback. He can check down to a second and third receiver. I mean, he's not going to beat you like deep down the field and everything, but like he'll make the smart pass, he'll make the right read, he'll get the ball to the right person in, rather quickly and stuff. So he's not going to take a lot of time looking for a receiver running around the pocket. And he'll make the right decisions for you. And that's what he is. He's a good backup quarterback. If you look at all the backup quarterbacks in the NFL, I think the Eagles are pretty lucky to have someone like Minshew. I mean, I think he could start for some teams, a handful of teams down at the bottom of the standings. But, is he going to win you a Super Bowl? I mean, probably not. But, if Jalen Hurts were to get hurt and they need a guy to step in and fill in, Gardner Minshew's the guy. And he showed that yesterday. I mean, he made pretty much all the right reads except for that one that you mentioned, which should have been a 98-yard return for a touchdown.
But it's still pretty impressive. If that's a regular season game, Martin, they just kicked the field goal, right? Because they know Jake Elliott. So they got 17 points in 3 drives. That's pretty stinking good.
That's pretty good.
And that's exactly what you saw when he filled in for Hurts last December against the Jets. I mean, I think he was like 20 for 25,
Yeah,
240 yards, couple TDs, didn't make any mistakes, and he led the Eagles to a victory that they had to have. So, that's pretty much what you saw yesterday too, is the same Gardner Minshew, and that's fine for a backup quarterback. That's what you want, a guy who can step in and, lead you, keep the game at least close, competitive and stuff. And, he did his job.
All right, let's stay in the backfield, but move on from quarterback. Eagles running yesterday. No Miles Sanders. So Boston Scott gets the start. The man pushing it right down the field into the end zone. Couldn't ask for anything more. Caught a nice pass out of the backfield, too. Look good. Next possession. Here comes Kenny Gainwell. The man taking it down the field, running effectively, moving the chains, getting first down. Who sticks it into the end zone? Kenny Gainwell. So it worked well. The running game came out, backup offensive linemen opening holes, winning battles right down the field. Both guys run in for a touchdown. Jettison ahead to week 1. How does the 3-man split, and let's see if you agree with me and John, they're only going to keep 3 running backs on this team. I don't think they're going to keep a 4th. So I think it's going to be Sanders, Gainwell, and Scott. How does Nick Sirianni use them in week number 1? What's the breakout on the guys? Is it going to be all 3 getting a chance? Are you going to do what he did last year, which is basically cut down to 2 every week? 2 guys would get their hands on the football. The third guy would kind of be left out. How is Sirianni going to use his 3 backs this year?
Now, we're assuming that Miles Sanders is healthy for week 1 and ready to go? Okay. Well, I mean, I think they like to use Kenny Gainwell as kind of like the third down back, like, they had with Sproles. But like the one thing that worries me about Gainwell, and John, you've seen this. I mean, he hasn't been very good in training camp.
No,
I mean,
bizarre. As a receiver, yeah.
We've seen him drop like some really easy passes over the middle and stuff like that. And he got chewed out by Nick Sirianni on Friday for a couple of mental mistakes, and I'm just not sure how much they can trust him. And we kind of saw that like last season. He had the fumble in that game against the Raiders, and then we didn't see him again for like 3 or 4 weeks. They just didn't have a whole lot of trust in him. And I think, he's gonna work in kind of slowly. I mean, I think like Boston Scott, if they needed to give Miles Sanders a breather, like for a series or anything like that, I think like Boston Scott might see a decent amount of time because they know what they're going to get with Boston Scott. I mean, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run up the middle for some tough yards and everything like that. So I'm not too sure we're going to see a whole lot of Kenny Gainwell, at least early on, until they really know that they can trust him and everything like that. But
it's an interesting thought, Martin. I hadn't thought of that angle. But now that you bring it up, does that open the door a little bit for Miles to play on the occasional third down or hurry up, especially if he's catching the football? In the first game against the Jets, he caught the football. It was
right.
obviously
no runs.
And if he can add that back into his repertoire, that might be the best case scenario for the Eagles because of his explosive ability.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but I also, Miles is hurt right now, and, he's got a history of that too. I don't think they want to run him into the ground either.
He's final year of his deal there. They're not bringing him back. You got that mentality, just ride him. Just ride him.
It's possible. I mean, if they can trust Miles Sanders catching the ball out of the backfield, I mean, I'm sure they would give him a chance too.
I like that, Martin. See, you got me thinking.
I personally think they're going to keep 4 running backs. Whether it's, Huntley, I think they like him because of special teams. Well,
I think they might keep 4, but I think they're going to bring somebody else in. I think they're going to get somebody on the waiver wire. So that initial 53, they'll probably cut down to 3 backs, and then they'll bring somebody in afterwards. But yeah, I think it's very hard to go through a 17-game season with just 3 running backs. But I haven't seen enough from Jason Huntley or Kennedy Brooks to say, I got to keep those guys.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys got a bunch of chances yesterday. They didn't really do anything that really stood out and everything. Like, it wasn't kind of one of those games where you're like, oh, yeah, they got to keep this guy. I didn't really see that either. So, I mean, it's quite possible like the fourth running back's still on another team as of right now. And, I mean, there's always talk like, maybe they trade for someone like Kareem Hunt and everything like that. And we saw the picture of him standing next to Sirianni.
Yeah, Nick trying to get everybody talking.
Yeah.
But the Browns can't give him up now that they don't have Deshaun Watson. They have to rely on their running game. So I don't think that's going to happen. But it would be nice. He'd step in and be hey, thanks for the memories, Miles. But that's a big time running back, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind that he wants to get paid. I mean, that's why he's not happy
that too.
in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he comes here, I don't think that's going to change either.
Right. That's one of the reasons why. There's a couple of reasons why I'm telling you it's not going to happen. And mark my words, three running backs on the roster in the 53. They're not going to add a fourth. The fourth will be a practice squad guy who, if one of the three running backs has a physical issue, Miles isn't quite 100% yet. Oh, they might elevate him and have to do the roster flip for the first game. But when they cut the 53, I'm telling you, they're only keeping they need more spots for defense. And if they keep a guy, are you either are you guys suggesting they would keep a running back to be one of their returners? Do you think that's a possibility?
Is Jalen Reagor here? We're going to get to that question. If Jalen Reagor's here, no, because Jalen Reagor's going to be the returner. But I'm starting to think Jalen Reagor's not going to be here. So that opens up a world of possibilities, both at wide receiver, backup running back, and then you need a returner.
All right, I'm going to put both you guys on the spot right now. Week 1 against the Lions. Who's returning punts? Who's returning kicks? Martin Frank, you first.
I think Jalen Reagor is going to be returning the punts. And as far as returning kicks, it could be Kenny Gainwell. It could be Jason Huntley if he's still here. I don't think
I don't want could be. I want who is. Make the call,
I'll go with Kenny Gainwell.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, if he's here, I'm going Reagor doing both. If he's not here, which I said is I think more likely, I think Jody's fan club president extends one more year. I think Greg Ward is the punt returner and the kickoff returner. I think Martin's right. I think it's Kenny Gainwell. That's what, and that's not awe-inspiring, by the way.
Hey, you're right. I'm a big Greg Ward fan. Last year, damn, did I wave the pom-poms for him. He can't make this roster, can he?
Not if Jalen's here. No, he's not going to make it. But if Jalen's not here, they need a punt returner. And
they're going to keep him over Deion Kane. They trade Jalen, and the last wide receiver spot comes down to Ward or Kane. They're going to keep Ward because he can call for a
because
fair
he
catch.
Can help on what can Deion Kane do on special teams? What can Deion Kane do on special teams to be a last wide receiver on this team? And then there's two parts to that. And Martin, get your thoughts as well on Deion Kane. They can get him through waivers and get him on the practice squad. So if you can't help on special teams, why do people think they're keeping Deion Kane as a 5th or 6th receiver?
I personally think they're keeping him as a 6th receiver. I think they got other guys who can help you on special teams. If he's not a special teams guy, I just see him make catch after catch.
I agree from a receiving standpoint.
Yeah,
he has done a great job, but it's like you're a plant that nobody dusts. I mean, you're not going to play. So, if you can't help on special teams, what's the point of just keeping that guy on the roster? Unless you want to send a message to the team and say, this is a meritocracy and he deserves to make the team, which I guess there's something to that.
I'm all for meritocracies.
Yeah.
I personally at one point thought they would only keep 5 receivers, and Deion Kane, Greg Ward, all those other guys wouldn't be on there either. But I think Deion Kane I personally think he's played himself into a spot. And if it comes down to him, does he give you more without the special teams benefit than Greg Ward does with the special teams benefit. And like Jody says, when they put him out there on the punt team, he pretty much just calls for a fair catch. He's not going to return it.
He catches it, though.
He does catch it, but, you can let it bounce and whatever, too, and just get the ball where you get it.
By the way, last year, Greg Ward returning punts, 2, one of which was a fair catch. So he was back as the punt guy twice for the entire season, and he did fair catch once.
And besides, if you're using Reagor in that role, I mean,
well, yeah, Reagor's here. Yeah, Reagor's the punt returner and the kickoff returner, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm starting to think he's not going to be here. And the Eagles can get something for him. And I think a change of scenery would be the best case scenario for both sides. So I'll ask you that, and I'll throw Andre Dillard in the mix as well, Martin, who I don't think the Eagles are going to trade. Your thoughts on Reagor going potentially or Andre Dillard?
I personally don't think either one of them are going. I mean, I know ideally, like getting some, Reagor going somewhere else would be good for him, kind of clear his mind, fresh start with a new team. I get all that. But unless some team is offering like something ridiculous, like a day 2 pick or something, I just don't see it. Like, you go through, it's a long 17-game season and guys get hurt. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown missed 4 games last year with Tennessee. Devontae Smith gets banged up every now and then. He weighs 170 pounds. You're going to need Reagor at some point during the season. I mean, no, he's not going to be Justin Jefferson. And I think everybody needs to, get that out of their minds. He's not going to be a great first-round pick, but like, he provides something. Like, he can get open, doesn't always catch the ball. It's not like when they had JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I mean, the guy, he was pretty much useless. You couldn't, other than like a blocking wide receiver, because apparently he was the best at that. But, you knew he wasn't going to catch the ball and everything. Reagor, at least, he can do that. And I think there's still a need for him. So, if you keep it in the context, like maybe he's your 4th wide receiver or 5th wide receiver. If somebody gets hurt, he can step in, provide you with some competent type of play, then fine, but then again, if there's a desperate team out there and they offer you a day 2 pick, yeah, I'd trade them right away, but I just don't see that happening. And with Dillard, I don't see them trading him at all. I mean, unless someone's offering him like a first-round pick, and I don't, and maybe that happens too, because there are some desperate teams out there. But I mean, Andre Dillard's been great all throughout camp. We saw him yesterday. He was pretty much dominating guys. And if you trade Dillard, the problem is there's a huge drop-off from Jordan Mailata if he were to get hurt to, whoever that 3rd tackle would be, whether it's LaRaven Clark or, Coyote Awasika, someone like that. I mean, I don't think you can take that chance. I mean, if Mailata missed 2 games last year, he ended up playing a couple games over at right tackle for Lane Johnson. So technically, like, Andre Dillard had to start 4 games at left tackle last year. So, I mean, I don't think they can afford to trade someone like Dillard. I mean, it's a shame because ideally he won't play at all this year if everybody stays healthy. But, he's just too important for them to trade unless someone's giving him a first-round pick. And, I mean, maybe that happens. I mean, we saw that with Carson Wentz and, Sam Bradford in 2016. There's always a desperate team out there. So we'll wait and see. But, if it's just to trade Andre Dillard, I don't think they're going to do that. And I don't think they're going to trade Jalen Reagor either.
We're going to have to get Kemsky on here before the season starts because he's going down the road of, no, can't trade Dillard, compensatory pick. All right, he's going to walk as a free. So what? We're going to get the king of the compensatory picks, Jimmy Kemsky. We haven't talked at all about Jalen Hurts. I know that he didn't play, so he's out of sight, out of mind, and everybody. He's still the guy who's going to decide the fates and fortunes of this team, and his fates and fortunes will be decided by Shane Steichen. I think we've had you on, but I'm not sure, Martin, so I'll just double down. Found out that Shane Steichen was calling the plays last year, second half, when the Eagles were more effective offensively, running the football more. What's your confidence level? 0 to 10, 0 being, we're screwed. 10 being, yeah, I'm making Super Bowl reservations because of the offense. What's your confidence level on Shane Steichen's play calling coming into the season?
I'd give it like a 7.5. I mean, it's basically all the plays that he and Nick Sirianni go over and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like he's inventing stuff, out of the back of his hat. I mean, they kind of know, certain situations, what plays they want to run. So like he's basically choosing from a menu, I guess, like the famous Andy Reid menu and everything like that. He's got like a series.
It's a lot bigger. Andy's is a lot bigger.
That's true. Well, Andy likes to eat a lot, so
yeah.
But I think like there's a certain amount of plays that they have to choose from. Maybe Shane has some freedom and like he can pick from A, B, or C, something like that. But it's all basically plays that they've gone over and they know that they want to use in certain situations. So I don't think like Shane Steichen's going to be like totally reinventing the wheel, from what they were calling earlier in the year, earlier last year when Sirianni was calling them. I just think, it's all going to be pretty much what they have on their list and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be anything like revolutionary.
We went from Andy, who had the Cheesecake Factory menu, to Chip Kelly, who had the card that said S3, I believe. That was
cheesesteak.
Yeah. And now we have probably in between. Well, we had Doug Peterson as well, which was closer to Andy. Devon Allen. So he was finally got to run by somebody. Pretty exciting to see him just leave people in the dust. Don't know why it took the Eagles that long. They wouldn't even let him run by people in practice, but it was fun to see. Are you worried at all? Are you in that camp of, we got to find a way to keep Devon Allen? Are you buying into the hype that somebody might pick up Devon Allen on waivers?
I'm not really buying into that hype. I mean, obviously it would be good. It would be good PR for any team to say, hey, we got an Olympic hurdler. We signed him to our 53-man roster. But like, if you're picking him up from the, if the Eagles were to waive him and you're picking him up, I don't think he leaves if it's for a practice squad on another team. See what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
The only way he would do it is if like some team says, all right, we're going to sign you to our 53 and everything like that. And, maybe he does it, but I'm not so sure. But then that team has to have him on the 53,
for
like
3 weeks at least.
That's a valuable roster spot. I mean, are you gonna trust him in a game? I mean, yeah, it was a great play and everything, but you remember it was late in the game. The second half, you're going against third stringers. It's Denzel Ward if he's out there. Whoever the starting safeties are for the Browns, like I don't know if that happens. I don't see it. And if you really want to use him as a kick returner, he hasn't really, remember he hasn't played in a real football game since 2016. So there's all that stuff. I mean, I think a practice squad would be ideal for him. And if it's between the Eagles or another team's practice squad, then he's going to stick with the Eagles because they gave him the chance and everything. And he seems to like it here and all that. So I think that matters. Unless some team is really desperate and needs the PR and says, hey, we're going to assign you and put you on the 53-man roster, I don't think the Eagles have anything to worry about. I don't see that scenario happening.
All right, last one for me, Martin, and I'm going to need you to look in your crystal ball a little bit here. It's just a couple weeks down the road. You should be able to see pretty clearly. After the Eagles win the kick and defer and play some defense and get Detroit on a quick 3-and-out, when they come onto their field for the first offensive snap of the year, the guy snapping the ball to Jalen Hurts will be Jason Kelce or Cam Jurgens?
I think it's going to be Kelce. The man has a lot of pride. He's got a consecutive game streak of 122 games,
right,
which is the longest in the NFL. And I think he really wants to keep that going. And he's also played in like 159 games or something like that. He'll be out there. I mean, the only reason they did the surgery, I mean, I think Kelsey kind of knew that, if they did it then, he would be there for week 1. Now, I will say that Cam Jurgens has been damn impressive.
Yeah. He's a little scared now, Martin.
Yeah.
Everybody's got Cam has looked great.
Kelsey back, quicker.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw like a young Kelsey out there, running down the field, like flattening people. I mean, he did it 2 weeks in a row. I mean, he's going to be good. And that's actually why I think this is going to be Kelsey's last year, because this guy's going to be ready. I mean, a year learning under Kelsey is going to do wonders for him. I mean, even though he might not play, maybe here and there if Kelsey were to get dinged up a little bit and stuff, but wow. I think he's going to be a good one. And I think, enjoy Jason Kelsey while he still can, because I think this is going to be the last year, but I definitely think he'll be out there for week 1.
Yeah. He was banging Dave Spadaro on the head. So the elbow looks good. The elbow looks
Spuds might be in the concussion protocol.
No, he had the Guardian cap on. He's fine. Completely fine.
Not with the Guardian on his head. Martin, good stuff. Appreciate you coming on board. Thanks much, Johnny Mac. We'll stay in touch this week. We'll try and get you up either right before the first game or maybe the first week after. Appreciate it whenever you become part of Birds 365.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Martin.